Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for the July 11th committee meetings. Our first meeting today is Parks and Recreation. It is Michael Lillquist is the chair, but April Barker will be serving as chair today. Thank you.
Thank you, Pinky. I'll be chairing Parks today, and I'm joined with Roxanne and Jean sitting in for Michael. We have one item for committee amendment to the Whatcom Falls Park Master Plan for the addition of a bicycle pump track. And I'll turn it over to Leslie Bryson, Parks Director.
Thank you. Leslie Bryson, Parks and Recreation Director, and joining me today is Eric Brown from the Whatcom Mountain Bike Coalition. And he's going to give a brief presentation. While he gets up to the podium, I just want to say that we have been working with the Whatcom Mountain Bike Coalition, and we'll shorten that to WMBC to save time, and other community members to find a place for a pump track in Bellingham for at least the last year and a half or so. The WMBC has offered to donate a pump track to our community. We looked at a lot of different sites. Some of the criteria we used was that we wanted the first one to be in a community park that had other facilities nearby, including restroom and parking. And we settled on a site in Whatcom Falls Park. It's kind of giving feedback here. Had been a field that had been used for practice, but it was kind of small, and we had expanded a basketball court in that area, leaving an L-shaped area. And it was actually Greg Hatch, our field supervisor, who said, hey, this might be a good site. So we looked at it with Eric and some of the other people and decided, yeah, this is a good place for our first one. It's a place where a lot of people start their trip up to Galbraith when they're mountain biking, so a lot of bicyclists are always already coming through there. It's the area in the upper part of the park off the Electric Avenue entrance. We have it in your packet showing where that is and what the amendment to the master plan would be. The Parks and Recreation Advisory Board voted to approve the master plan amendment at their June 8th meeting. They amended that motion to also include to monitor and mitigate for any negative impacts and to also plan for more pump tracks in our community. So we'll see. I assume this one will be very popular, and we'll be looking at other locations. With that, I'll turn it over to Eric, and he's going to give a brief presentation about pump tracks. And at the end, we have a short video because a lot of people don't know what a pump track is.
Thanks, Leslie. Really appreciate it. Thank you, City Council. Nice shirt, Roxanne. So real quick, what is a pump track? And I'll show you some pictures, and we'll go through a quick video at the end, as Leslie said. A pump track is essentially a closed circuit, meaning it's meant to be ridden in a circle or in some sort of a designed direction or directions. It's designed to be ridden without pedaling, hence what we call pumping, which means you're pumping the bike up and down over bumps made for kind of undulating bumps. It's a really good workout. And it's also really good for building skills, cornering, and also just general bike handling skills. They're actually, despite the fact there's none here in Bellingham, we do have a small little piece of a pump track tied to the Civic Dirt Jumps, but it's not really what one would consider a pump track. The nice thing about it is they can be ridden by all ages, all levels of riders can enjoy it. Anyone from my 4.5-year-old daughter to even some of the best riders in the world who live here in Bellingham, like Jill Kittner, who's an Olympic bronze medalist in BMX. So it's real versatile. It's a great community asset. So a little bit here, I kind of talked a little bit about it. The benefits of them are fun for all ages and abilities. The Whatcom Falls Park is a great location. It's, as everyone here knows, it's flanked by neighborhoods on all sides. We have, bikers already going there to and from Galbraith through the park on the railroad trail and the other greenways trails that utilize Whatcom Falls Park. Families currently ride bikes in the park. I live 2 blocks north of the park. My family and I use the park almost daily. My daughter rides in there every day, or every other day at least. And we use the park to get to Bloedel. We use it to get to Galbraith, etc. So it's a very, very heavily used park with riders today. The reason why this site was located, well, first of all, we looked at several sites, as Leslie alluded. This site is great for several reasons. The location's great. We have mountain bike clubs at several of the elementary schools and middle schools nearby. So we have them at Wade King, Silver Beach, Northern Heights, Carl Kozier, And we, all the neighborhoods around there, the kids are growing up on bikes. So it's a great location. We got big shade trees, and shade trees are nice because out in the open fields and stuff, the sun tends to bake the dirt, and it gets real brittle, and it gets real dusty and hard to maintain. The shade trees give us a little bit of a window there. It's easily accessed by small children and parents. I think this is a really important thing, is we want to make these in neighborhood parks, not just in Whatcom Falls, but for instance in Birchwood, where April and I looked at about a year ago. In other areas, like maybe in Cordata, for instance, with the new park, where kids can access them without their parents having to drive them, where they can ride to them on their own. It won't be too long where my daughter will be able to ride to this pump track in the future, and I won't have to necessarily be there with her. I probably will, but it's got good safety. It's got good open area. It's near other facilities, which I think is important, where parents can feel safe about their kids being. It's near the playground. It's near the basketball courts, near the tennis courts, near the parking lot. And also the other aspect is we looked at several areas, and those areas, even though they might not be used heavily, had use at certain times of the year. Like Dan and I walked an area in Roosevelt Park, and we found out that the Boys and Girls Club and they were using it like 2 months out of the year for flag football, and so that sort of ruled out that field, even though it was a really good location next to the club. So here's where we are currently. We've gone through the Parks Board, obviously, and got approval through them. We have a conceptual design in place. We've already got support from the Whatcom Falls Neighborhood Association. The WMBC paid for a wetland delineation report, and that area is figured out, so we know what our buffer needs to be, and we are outside of the buffer. And also we have a plan for any runoff or sedimentation, so that's already in the works. We've already received a $5,000 grant from REI and another $3,000 grant from a bicycle manufacturing company called Crank Brothers. And we're proposing construction August, September of this summer, and it really might tie to a public works project where they're doing some sewer retrofitting with a big vault at Whatcom Falls Park. If anybody has ridden or walked by it, you know which one I'm talking about. It stinks pretty bad. So a few examples here of pump track examples. This is sort of along the lines of what we're envisioning with our pump track, a nice area with some grass around the outside, maybe some on the inside as well. And so you can see sort of the berms, which are the banked corners, and you can see the pumps, and we'll show you a little video of somebody just practicing on one here in a second. And then here's one, loaded down with kids, a little different. It doesn't have the grass, but you can see where the banked corners are and the pumps that the kids are riding over. And then, so here's a little example of where the location is. So the basketball court, the church is referring to the Jehovah's Witness Church, which is on Electric, so that's to the north of the proposed area. And then the playground is adjacent, and the basketball court is adjacent to the pump track. So for instance, my 2-year-old can be playing on the playground while my 4.5-year-old is riding the pump track with me, or vice versa with my wife. So it's good location. We actually, one of the neighbors that's just to the east of this is a diehard mountain biker, and she and her husband are very excited about this and actually came and spoke in support of it as well. Their backyard actually will join this. So just a little conceptual design that we drew up. Some may or may not know Jill Kittner is one of the best mountain bikers in the world. She is a Whatcom Falls neighborhood as well. This is her sort of conceptual design that we came up with after we walked it. We're going to have to do some, obviously there's going to be, when we get dirt and we start moving on with bodies and moving dirt, that'll probably change a little bit, but this is just to give you a little bit of a concept here. And then a little bit about the design team. Myself, I'm obviously the trail director with the Whatcom Mountain Bike Coalition. Steve Wentz is actually one of the best pump track builders in the world. He's actually going to come up and help us build this. We want this to be an overwhelming a success. So Steve's coming up from Tahoe to help us build this, and then Jill Kittner, who is a professional mountain biker and one of the best women in the world. So I'll show you a little quick video here just to show you what a pump track is. There's no sound here, so just bear with me. So this guy is pumping through. You can see what he's doing here is, you can see how he's kind of pumping. He's kind of pushing the bike down on the back sides of the pumps and trying to avoid his dog at the same time. So you can kind of see a little bit more about that. These are a little different. A lot of people have been asking me, well, we have the dirt jumps. Aren't the dirt jumps enough? And the dirt jumps are very different than a pump track. So dirt jumps are more about catching air. These are not as much about catching air as much as accelerating through the pumps and the bumps. So thank you guys very much for considering amending the master plan. Thank you.
And just to follow up, thanks, Eric, for putting that presentation together. We're looking for more activities for teens and youth to get them outside, to get fresh air, to have fun. And this is a new and emerging sport in our community and really around the world. And we've always been kind of cutting edge in Bellingham, putting in the pump track, the skate park, and finding things for our community to do. By policy, any major changes to existing parks require an amendment to the master plan, and that's why we're here today to ask you to approve this. Also, one of the nice things about these pump tracks is they take up they can fit into a relatively small area for the benefit they provide. So we look forward to finding other places in our community where we can put these. Thank you.
So will you, Roxanne has a question, but will you go over the board's recommendation?
Okay, I did earlier. They voted to approve it 8-3 but they added some language to monitor and mitigate any negative impacts and also to plan for additional pump tracks in our community.
Thank you. Roxanne?
Yeah, I just want to say this is a really exciting development for our community. You know, our community is so focused on fitness and recreation, especially mountain biking. And so that's why I'm happy to move that we would vote to approve the amendment to the Whatcom Falls Master Plan for the addition of a bicycle pump track.
Okay, we got a motion and a second.
Yeah, I'll second that. And let me just say, Eric, thank you to your group for coming forward. And this is what public-private partnership's all about. And I would hate to think if we didn't have that in this city, what we wouldn't have now. So thank you and your group very much.
Thanks, Gene. Just so you guys know, we take our stewardship very seriously. Just this Saturday, we had a build party with 15 people out at the Civic Dirt Jumps. We have one every month for the next 6 months already scheduled. So these are the sorts of things where we would do similar sorts of maintenance and stewardship on these pump tracks.
And I'd like to thank the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board that got about 100 emails regarding this and really had some good conversation regarding it. I really wish I would have had that experience before my children just a couple weeks ago took me up to the U-Line and then down Atomic Dog. So it might have been nice to have practiced some of those banks, but I made it. I'm still here. Go ahead, Dan.
I just wanted to express my support for this. One of the first things I did with council when I started council was to go with Eric and look at various sites throughout the community. And I think that this site works the best for the first pump track because of all the things that you've indicated, all the amenities that are there in the park existing already. I think this is a great spot for this to work, and I'll be supporting this tonight.
Pinky.
I too want to thank you, Eric, and the WMBC for the work you do and for providing opportunities that are all ages. And the fact that you came here was very impressive, completely organized and funded, and get it done.
Yeah.
This is so refreshing. Thank you so much for this work.
Okay. Terry.
Yeah, I just want to say also, I'm really supportive of this. Any time we can add recreational opportunities for youth and teens in this community, especially with alternative kinds of sports activities, I'm all in favor of. We need more activities our kids can plug into, and this is a great one. So thanks for all the hard work.
Thanks, Terry. And just so you guys know, the areas we've been looking at, other neighborhoods, it's where I already have people who are supportive of these, not only neighborhood associations, but also people that live there who said, yeah, I want to step up to the plate to help build and maintain these. And that's important to us because we want to have these be ongoing. We need to, we want these to be successful. So.
Okay, well, we have a motion to amend the Whatcom Falls Park Master Plan for addition of a bicycle pump track. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. And the committee?
Your vote is 3-0.
Oh,
Motion carries.
okay, motion carries at 3-0. And the committee?